My name is Dan Dorval, and I'm President and CEO of Dorval and Cherney Financial Advisors. I am an independent certified financial planner and author of my book, Financial Success for the Rest of Us, Reality Based Financial Planning for Mainstream America.
Hi, my name is Leah Woodley. I'm an associate financial advisor with Dorval and Cherney Financial Advisors. Our conversations discuss what it means to do quality of life planning in all areas of your life.
Dan, you recently met with a nurse and a teacher, and you were able to save them over 62, well, not save them, but find an additional $62,000. Why don't you just tell us about that?
Well, this is one of the things that's very unique for our group in that we help our large group advisory agreements where we're paid to be available to help these people. So we help the same types of people over and over and over again, and we become experts in everything that they're dealing with. And in this particular case, this person was a nurse a long time ago, was part of a contract, meaning the union, and they were getting a pension benefit. Now, that pension benefit was from literally decades ago, and they had a relatively small benefit. It was $577 a month. And they thought when they had left the union that this pension was going to pay out when they were age 65. And currently they are just about to turn 56. And when they told me what they were doing, they had a job change coming up. They were going to leave one of our local hospitals, go to a different type of location. And I said, you've been with this employer for a long time. And did you know that your years of service, even though you weren't in the union, that your years of service were counting towards your pension and you may qualify for an early retirement benefit? And he's like, oh, I had no idea. That's just not even something I've heard about or considered. And he had forgotten that he had this old pension. And so I gave him the contact information of the pension. I told him exactly what to say and exactly what to do. He contacted them. And sure enough, his job change actually qualified him to be able to start that pension now rather than waiting until full retirement age, which is age 65. So he is going to get 9 years worth of benefits at $577 a month. And he had absolutely no idea that that's the case. And if he had forgotten about it and not claimed until 65, there was no way to get any sort of back pay or he would not have collected in any way. So the early retirement option was a voluntary option, which means if you didn't do it, you just don't get it. And
Mm.
so in this particular case, our expertise was able to uncover money that he would have never known he had. And we are talking about people who are relatively modest incomes. Now it's a two-earner household, so they do make a pretty good combined income, but relatively modest incomes. They're putting their kids through college. They are struggling right now. So an extra $577 a month makes a profoundly positive impact on their overall quality of life.
I can imagine. I know they probably were so thrilled and excited to hear that news. How often does something like that happen where people don't know the intricacies of their pension and don't know that they actually do have money out there that is available to them?
Well, it happens more often than people think because, the world is getting to be a more complicated place. And a lot of people have multiple job changes. They have old retirement plans that maybe weren't that big and they just forget about them. I mean, something that happened 20 years ago, you just don't remember all the details of every employer that you've ever had. So we will commonly help people find maybe an old 401k plan, maybe they have a small pension. There's all sorts of these types of situations where people just forget. And in a conversation, they might kind of randomly mention something, and that's a flag for us where it just pops up and we go, oh, let's talk about that a little more. And in many cases, they will be able to find money that they just didn't know they had.
Yeah, I think that's one of the important things that a financial planner and a financial advisor can offer to our clients is the fact that we are truly listening. I think that was one of the key skills that I was taught early on was to really listen because like you said, those things do come up just in passing and it may be, nothing to the person saying it, but to us it's like ding, ding, ding. There's something here. So I'm glad that you were able to find that out for them. I know in our industry, a lot of people are just focused on investments and taxes and just dealing with wealthy people. How would you say our approach differs? This is just a middle income household. How does our approach differ from other people in the industry?
Well, I could talk about that for a long time because there's a lot of different things, as far as how we differ. But you're absolutely right. Most people in our industry, the primary focus that they have is you go out and you figure out how to become wealthy on your own merits, whether you save the money, whether you win the lottery, whether you inherit the money. I don't care how you become wealthy, but you go out and you become wealthy first. Then you come and talk to a wealth manager type, and they will charge you a whole bunch of fees to help you manage your wealth. And that's how the vast majority of our industry is structured. We don't work that way. We tend to work with people who are covered under our group advisory agreements. For me personally, that is mostly nurses. As you all know, nurses are not generally the highest net worth people in our society, so most of them are not wealthy when they come to us. Many of them have become wealthy over time, but we have helped them along the way. So that is one of the first big differentiators. The second differentiator is this idea that most of our industry is focused on investments because that is where the money is made. So if they sell something with investments or they manage investments, they make fees along the way. And so they want you to have a lot of investments so that they can make more fees for the amount of time that they're helping. Our focus is on financial planning and advice that is aligned with your quality of life. And this is where we talk about putting together the puzzle pieces, all those confusing different aspects of your financial life. And yes, investments are a puzzle piece, but they are not the picture. So investments are just tools to help you accomplish goals. And most people in our industry view investments as the tool, like that is the only thing. And from our perspective, that's just one of the things. And that's a big difference as well. So the third thing is our unique expertise. When we are working with the groups that we work with, we become complete and total experts in everything that they're doing. I mean, I know more about the M&A pension than probably anybody at M&A. So it's one of those things where when I see certain things pop up, I can recognize from experience and from expertise that this is something where this person could benefit in some way, or I can explain it in a way that they understand better. So our unique group advisory agreements make us special in this world because most advisors would have had no idea how this particular pension works. The early retirement benefit is a completely unique part of this particular pension. And so they wouldn't know that and they wouldn't have recognized it. And that's not their fault. They didn't, I don't expect them to know that, but we know that. And so that's another like glaring difference between us and other advisors in the people that we help.
And we see that commonly. There may be a nurse who is working with another advisor, but still comes to meet with us because, like you said, people just don't know about the intricacies regarding that pension. And we are able to provide that expertise and even go beyond the pension and putting together the whole big picture of their puzzle. So, for someone who may be watching this, who isn't sure whether they're missing out on a pension or retirement benefits or anything else that may be out there, what's the first step you recommend?
Well, a lot of times it's just carefully considering your past. Did I have a job where I don't remember for sure exactly what's going on? Am I getting some statements from places where I just don't even know what this is? People will come in and if they can give us something, If
Hmm.
they can give us a piece of paper from a custodian, so it might be a Fidelity or a Voya or an Empower or something like that, if they could give us something, in many cases, we can look at that and say, here's what it is, and here are your next steps in how to look for that. Now, there are actually also um, state programs where you can find missing money.
Hmm.
And you can go into these programs and they are legit. They don't look legit, by the way, but they are legit. And you can do a search for missing money. And in some cases, you will find that maybe a very small retirement plan, they tried to contact you, but maybe you've moved multiple times. And at some point, they give that account up as being like no longer there. And they'll report it to the state as missing money. So sometimes our clients have been successful in finding, maybe 200 or 800 or $1,000 accounts where they just didn't know they had it and they weren't getting statements or anything else.
Hmm.
So there are a variety of different ways. It's a little bit like a mystery where you're uncovering clues and you're trying to figure out, do I have all the information that I need? Now, the most important thing there is this is exactly why when somebody leaves an old employer, even if they have very small accounts there, we want to make sure that they're consolidating those accounts if possible somewhere. It might be with your current active employer, it might be in an IRA, whatever it happens to be, we want you to consolidate those accounts because in today's world, people will work for, seven, eight, nine different employers over their career, and it's easy to lose some of those along.
Yeah, it really is. Well, thank you so much for sharing these tips. I do want to mention to our audience that if you are an employer or maybe you're an HR benefits director and you are interested in a program like we offer, a group sponsored financial planning and advice for your employees, we do have a pilot program that is available to you for you to try out Quala, which is our AI planning um, platform. This will help you to offer this benefit to your employees at no cost upfront. So that is a 3-month pilot program. If you are interested, I will drop the email in the box below for you to get more information on that program. That program is connected to a financial planner. So we do offer our CFPs. We are all CFPs in conjunction with Quala so that your employees are getting the full benefit of having sound financial planning and advice. Dan, is there anything you want to add?
It's funny you say that because Ellen and I did a seminar for M&A and we had about 75 nurses in that room. And one of the consistent pieces of feedback that we get is that this is the most appreciated benefit that the Minnesota Nurses Association offers their nurses. It is something that any association or larger employer, we can tell you from experience that they are going to love the fact that you care enough to provide them with
Mhm.
independent financial planning and advice.
Yes, they absolutely do. Well, thank you so much for sharing. And until next time, have a good one.
Thanks, Leah.
Thank you.